was touched this week after hearing about Gillian Treacy's 4-year-old son, Ciaran, who was killed when a drunk driver collided with her car.
Now, one woman who knows what it's like to lose a child on the road is Donna Price, whose life was turned upside down when her son Darren lost his life in a car crash. And she's with us here today. First of all, thank you very much for coming in, Donna. And obviously, listening to Gillian Treacy and that unbelievable victim impact statement in the last week, it must have brought a lot back to you again.
It was a very powerful statement by Gillian, and yeah, it has to have touched everybody. Anybody who read it cannot but have been touched. And yes, for anybody affected, you do relive the nightmare.
Tell us about Darren and tell us what happened.
Darren left home one morning for college in Athlone, where he was studying engineering, and he was involved in a collision with a lorry in the village of Treacy, and he was killed instantly.
And he was a talented basketball player and an inter-county footballer as well.
He was a very special young man. He was very talented, very popular with everybody, and he was a great loss to not only our family but in the community, in his local club, the Downs. He was greatly missed. The Westmeath football team, he played at county level, and then he played at club level for Ireland in basketball.
Now you, I suppose really, which is terrible, Donna was just explaining this just before we came on air. You were saying that your other son, Darren, was your second son, and your eldest son actually passed the scene of the accident and didn't realise it was Darren.
Yes, Mark, my eldest son, he was coaching basketball for Wilson's Hospital School, and he was taking the team to Portlaoise for a basketball final. And he passed by the crash. The road wasn't closed. He took a second glance at the car and thought it looked familiar, but it was only when the telephone call came that he knew. Nobody had to tell him. He knew that was what had happened.
And you were going to Dublin at the time as well.
I was. I got the call while I was travelling to Dublin and sitting in rush hour traffic in Kilmainham. Not very pleasant to get a call from the Gardaí because, you don't just get a call. There's something up. And then that horrible 10 minutes waiting to pull in. The guards kept asking me, could you pull in a safe place? And then they just asked me, Darren, and they gave his date of birth. Is that your son? And I confirmed it was, and then my whole world fell apart.
Totally did. Now, the aftermath, it's terrible to lose your son, of course. It's the most, how can you ever get over that? And you never do, and you never will. But then the aftermath that followed, the information, the lack of information, and actually going through, I suppose, to a coroner's court and sitting there and just being told this was an accident, because it's very basic, the information you get there. It's like, there was an accident, there's no blame here, and that's it, and off you go. You had no witness statements, because that's all part of the DPP and the Gardaí investigation, so you didn't really know what happened, and I suppose you really wanted to know exactly what happened that day.
Well, I did my best to prepare myself for the inquest. I thought the inquest was going to be a public hearing into my son's death. And because the DPP didn't prosecute, this was going to be my only chance to hear what happened. So I actually fought for 6 years to have the evidence gathered in the case. Unfortunately, the Garda investigation fell very short of what you would expect. There were no forensic collision investigators, for instance, to go to the scene that morning because they were on a training course. The road wasn't closed off. Witnesses weren't identified. Evidence wasn't secured.
You must have found this unbelievable as well. You're after losing your son. You're trying to patch together what actually happened. So you, in some way, can kind of put this together in your own mind to try to make sense of it. And you're hitting all these hurdles all along.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality for our families, because there is nobody to look out for the bereaved families in the entire process. The Gardaí prepare their file for the DPP. The DPP looks at the evidence in that file and makes a decision. The Gardaí also prepare their file for the coroner. But the families are completely outside. And in fact, if you ask for information, you're told, we can't give you anything because the file is either with the DPP.
Unless it goes to court and there is a prosecution, and unless a prosecution is taken by the DPP, you will never know what happened, unless, like yourself, now you did get the witness statements eventually.
Yes.
And you did manage to speak to some of the witnesses, but unfortunately, the witnesses, their vision was obscured by a truck in front. So it's very difficult to know what happened.
I learned a lot from getting the Garda abstract report. People think that they'll get the Garda file. In fact, you never get the Garda file. You get a small section of the file, which is a selection of witness statements, a rough sketch of the scene, the statement of the first Garda on the scene, or the ambulance service, or the fire service. And that's all. But I remember getting that file for the first time, and I learned a lot. I learned, for instance, that there was a lorry that was travelling behind my son that left the scene and was never identified. Information like that I should have had. I shouldn't have had to wait for over a year to have it.
No, you're adamant, okay, I'm going to do something so this won't happen to other families as well. So you were behind a thing now that says if there's any accident at all, you have to be breathalyzed, and also the amount of alcohol inside your blood.
Change the law, because at that time, was it 2006 that Darren died?
Yeah.
It wasn't mandatory for anyone to be breathalyzed. Now, we're not saying, and Donna is not saying that the person involved with this collision was drinking or in any way like that. You're not trying to say that, but you're just saying that everyone should be breathalyzed immediately, and that's the case now. They're allowed.
Absolutely, and it's quite incredible that wasn't done in 2006. But at that time, we placed an undue burden on the Gardaí to first form an opinion that the driver had consumed alcohol before they could even breathalyze.
They had to have a reason for doing it.
Absolutely, even where a death and very serious injury had occurred, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And what it meant is, because in 90% of cases there was no testing, that all of those families are left without that evidence.
Totally,
but the laws were dating back to 1961. Like with all the cars on the road, even laws that were made and brought in 1981 or 91 wouldn't be even relevant today. With the amount of traffic we have now.
Yes. But that thankfully changed. But then you decided you wanted to go ahead and actually help victims, because as you said, in the dark. So you started the Irish Road Victims Association. And tell us about that.
Yeah, we set up the Irish Road Victims Association in 2012. Myself and a number of members of the regiment in the army who had lost colleagues on the road. So together we set up the organisation, and we help bereaved families deal with the legal processes which follow such sudden and unnatural deaths. Because not only have you lost a loved one, but you're also plunged into a system where you have got to
deal. It's very scary, the legal system, if you're not used to it.
Very scary. And you have to remember, you're at your lowest ebb. You've lost a child, or your husband, or your wife, or your mother, and you have to deal with this whole process. In most cases now, you do have a family liaison officer in the Garda, the Síochána, but again, the evidence or the information that they can give you is very limited, because they're restricted because of the DPP looking at a file and whatever. So yeah, we feel very alone, very isolated. So it helps to speak to others who have a similar experience, and we can share information and help each other as we deal with those processes.
How many people have you come across that you've spoken to yourself through this since your own son died?
I would say hundreds of people. Wow. Yeah. At our World Day of Remembrance ceremony, which is every year, we have one on the 15th of November.
15th.
So it's Sunday week in Mullingar. But last year we had about 400 people at that, and the grief in that room was palpable. But there is some weird comfort in knowing that you're not on your own, and
there is.
Yeah.
As time goes on, especially, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah.
Donna,
and you can share experiences.
Thank you very much for being with us today.
And we'll put that information, absolutely. And as Donna said, though, she's trying, to help others. I mean, you'll never come to terms, or you may come to terms, but you'll never get over the
I would encourage families, who find themselves in this position, to get in touch, because we do have a networking service, and we can put them in touch with somebody who has a similar experience and might, in their locality even, who may be able to assist them.
IRVA, it's on the screen there, .ie, and you can get all the information there. Donna, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now,